smeared with the blood and brains of he whom I have sent below to keep me company. Welcome back to Not My Ghost, Not My Problem. I'm Jen.
And I'm Kelly. Today, we're stepping into something a little different, expanding beyond the purely paranormal and into the world of true crime, where real events often leave behind questions that feel just as unsettling as any ghost story. Because sometimes what actually happened can be just as chilling as anything we can't explain. And in this case, the line between the two isn't as clear as it seems. Between 1918 and 1919, a series of violent attacks unfolded in New Orleans, targeting people in their own homes under the cover of night. The pattern was disturbing. The suspect was never identified, and as fear spread, so did the need to make sense of it. Then came a message, one that shifted how people responded, turning anxiety into action and leaving behind a moment in history when an entire city moved together. In this episode, we're looking at the documented events, the impact they had on the people who lived through them, the theories that followed, and how an unresolved case gradually took on a life beyond the facts. So grab your headphones and keep the lights low, because this is one story that never really found its ending. And it took me a lot to get through that guy, so, you'll never know that. Well, the patrons will, but the rest of you won't.
Yeah.
You won't know how much of a struggle it was.
She struggled. It's been that kind of day.
Anyway, Jen, you want to tell them how I ruined your life?
You ruined my life, Kelly.
I know.
Kelly texts me today and says, starting in 2 weeks until another position opens up, which could be any amount of time, I'm going to be working from 2 to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Yep.
Which is going to make things very challenging for the podcast.
It is. For the podcast, for our personal lives. But we love our podcast, so we're going to do our podcast either way. But I was not necessarily even looking for a full-time position, but one kind of fell in my lap today, and it was too good to turn down. So now, as soon as a position that opens up working the first shift, which is 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., which is what I used to work when we did the podcast and everything was fine.
Yeah.
As soon as that opens up, I will be moved into that shift. And in the words of my supervisor, that can take anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 years. We'll never know.
Yep.
People come and go all the time in this. And I will say, in the line of work that I do, people do come and go often. So
put out your good vibes that Kelly can get a first shift. Please send all those vibes our way, because it's going to be hard. And I told Kelly that I obviously understand and, I'm not like mad at her, but I'm going to complain about it a lot.
Yeah. And she has
already.
And it's only been a matter of hours since I told her.
Well, you're getting all the initial complaints. You're getting all the initial, my brain is processing, and I process things out loud by talking them over. And
yeah, well, it's fair, because this is like, it's seriously going to mess up the amount of time that you have with Mike.
Yeah.
And, as far as my husband goes, my husband works a swing shift. So there's already going to be weeks where we don't see each other for 3 to 4 days in a row.
Yeah.
And then I'm also going to have to spend one of the only weekend days he has off, because my husband works one of the weekend days every week.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm going to have to record on that weekend day
Yeah.
after not seeing him for 3 or 4 days in a row. And that's whatever's left in that day is just going to be the time that we have left. But
Yeah.
again,
But we'll
we are
try our
hoping.
best to, you know, not record when on one of those weekend days unless like I have something the other day. Um where the challenge, I mean, it's just gonna like if there's travel or weekend events or things like that.
Mhm.
Um but yeah,
Now this will not affect an event that Jen and I have coming up
it will not,
very soon.
thankfully.
And then Nick and I have a trip also planned that before I took the job, I talked to the person that offered it to me. I said, I have 2 pre-planned, prepaid, non-refundable trips in May.
Yeah.
It has to be okay that I go on those trips. I can't. And he was like, don't even worry about it. It's
Yeah.
completely fine.
That's good.
So I'm excited about the job. And also I wish it was first shift.
Yeah. And we'll figure it out, but I'm gonna complain about it first.
Well, welcome to our very big downer of a conversation, scripted, unscripted banter. Jen, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
I think I wrote one for this episode. I don't know. I just did it the other day.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Good.
Would you rather know exactly who committed a famous unsolved murder, but never be able to prove it, or never know at all?
But I would know 100% this is it,
You would know 100%.
but I couldn't prove it.
You have, but you would not have access to evidence to ever prove it.
Yeah, I would still wanna know. Just for my
Yeah.
own satisfaction.
Well, I feel the same way, but then I also think, what a burden that would be. So it's gotta be someone famous. So let's say, to avoid all legalities of any sticky situations, say Shaggy from Scooby-Doo has been murdered.
Oh, no. Not Shaggy.
You know that Velma did it. You know.
Velma.
You know Velma did it, but you can't prove it. And Velma and Fred just had a baby. See? Then it gets a little burdensome there that you
Does.
know that the killer, you know who the killer is, and then you can never prove that that person, that Velma is the killer. And then you just have to, you're like, God, I hope she doesn't kill her child. I hope, doesn't. So it
Does
can get
Velma
sticky in
know
that
that
way.
I know?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I mean, I made the situation up,
You
so
did, you
I
did.
guess I get the call.
Can I pick which one that I get to know?
Yes.
So, I could pick, like, Jack the Ripper, because that doesn't everyone's dead. So that's not
Correct.
really a burden
I don't
anymore.
think that's who you would pick though, because I know you very well. But yeah,
You're right.
I know.
Well,
I
I
know.
mean, that's high
I
up
know
on
you.
the list. Like that's top 5 of unsolved cases. But you're right,
I
it's
thought that
not
they had
number 1.
solved I thought they had already solved Jack the Ripper.
There's theories, but there's theories for everything.
Mm, true.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are other unsolved murders from how about this one that we're gonna talk about tonight?
Yeah, I mean, this one would be a good one to know out of the
Okay.
curiosity of it.
Right. And I just wanna say, just a quick content warning. We're talking about murder.
Yes. People are gonna die.
So
Just know.
people are dying.
This or
Yeah.
what's the word I'm looking for? Not viciously. Um
Viciously murdered? That works.
no, I mean it does, but that's not the word I'm looking for.
Brutally.
Brutally, that's the word. Brutally. People die brutally. So
Mhm.
prepare yourself.
I mean, I literally said the name of the episode was The Axeman, so you have to know this is very
Even if
brutal.
you have never heard of the Axeman, which
Right.
Kelly had not prior to seeing it on our list of topics when she was like, "What's this? I'll do this." Which is
Yeah.
ironic because we usually it's I have a lot of information about this case already, so it's interesting. It'll be a different type of case just because I do know some about it. Whereas, like, usually if one of us doesn't know, that means that's the person who's, like, getting to react.
Great,
So,
because I was not able to find a ton, so you can fill in any gaps.
well,
Honestly,
I don't know if
like,
I know that much, but
you never know. Maybe you have something that I didn't come across because I can't read everything about the Axeman
that's true.
of New Orleans. So,
I've listened to a
I
couple
guess,
different podcasts on it, so
that would have been a really good idea to listen to a podcast about it.
mhm. I could have recommended one for you. Morbid did a great episode. That's the first time I heard it, was Morbid's episode.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that probably would have been smart. Who knew
Yeah.
podcasts exist?
I know.
Not us.
Not no. What's a podcast?
I have no idea. Also, for our viewers mainly, or listeners too, because they have to listen to it, there will be no wine breaks during this episode.
Yeah, there won't be.
Unfortunately, it is a dry recording.
It is.
Very unfortunately. I am finishing up an antibiotic that I am not allowed to drink on.
And I'm not
But we're
drinking in
recording Thursday.
yeah, yes, we are. And I'm not drinking in solidarity of not drinking in front of her if she can't drink, because 'cause I'm a good friend.
She is a good friend. I got my strawberry lemonade. Does that count?
I have
No vodka.
a Snapple.
Do you know my husband says Schnapple, and it makes me
Schnapple?
want to punch holes in the wall? Schnapple.
Now I kinda
Oh,
wanna
look, there's a
start
Schnapple truck.
now I kinda wanna start saying Schnapple. Oh, my light
Oh, it did.
yeah.
So we had a crazy experience when we were recording our last episode, and I have
Holy shit.
put in some, for the time being, extremely strict restrictions on what is allowed to happen in this room.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's been pretty chill in here.
that's good, because it got
The only thing
fucking crazy,
it did, and
as
the
you
only
all
thing that is
saw.
allowed to make its presence known in this room is Elias. That's it.
Okay,
Nothing else, because I said so.
that's good.
And as we all know, the paranormal has to listen to me.
They do. They're all in
In
timeout.
my home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so. All right, let's get into this episode.
Okay.
So I have some facts first about murder.
Yay, murder.
Okay, in the United States, the clearance rate for murders, which is cases that are solved, has dropped significantly since the 1960s. From around 90% of cases being solved in the 60s to closer to 50 to 60 in recent years, which blows my mind. With
Yeah.
all of the technology that we have today, I read that like 7 times. And before I was like, I have to be reading this wrong. It cannot be.
That's I can't wrap my brain around that because, like,
Mm-mm.
I don't know. I feel like with CTV footage, like, it's just really fucking hard to get away with murder.
Yeah. But apparently you got at least a good 50-50 shot.
Though, I don't know. I mean, maybe more it could be a lot more of maybe like the oh, my light's really bright now.
Mhm.
Maybe it's more of like the like city gang related like murders that are kind of more like random one-offs, not like premeditated as much that are
Maybe.
unsolved.
I think there's also a lot of murders that we don't know were murders because they're just missing persons
Yeah,
reports
that's
too.
true. But
So,
that wouldn't count in those statistics
yeah. I don't know.
unless the body was found. I don't think it goes down as a homicide unless the body was found or some remains. You know,
Something. Yeah.
you find a foot,
A shirt
you're
or
we
bloody,
went we
bloody
went
clothing.
two completely different directions on that one.
If they find a foot and they can verify whose foot it is, that probably is consistent with finding a body, I would imagine. Like if
Probably.
DNA can show,
Can
this is
can DNA test a
Velma's foot.
foot? Poor Velma.
Well, yeah, they can get DNA off of anything.
I
Skin,
guess.
I get they can run analysis on that if we already have the
Right, we would
missing
have to
person's
have
DNA.
their DNA
Right.
because obviously,
Um,
like, that's one of the reasons why when people do, like, serial killers or people will murder, they will, like, cut off the fingers and the heads because those are the 2 things with fingerprints and dental records that are really easy to confirm.
right. Okay, next fact.
Okay.
The introduction of DNA analysis in the late 20th century has solved decades-old murders, but only when biological evidence was properly collected and stored, which it very rarely was.
Yeah.
Also, with the rise of like ancestry.com and 23andMe and these, they have actually solved murders by accessing
Yeah.
um
It was it the Golden State Killer?
I think
Yeah,
so,
the
yeah,
Golden State Killer was found that way, which is
which is interesting.
amazing. Fucking love that shit. That's what, like, when I did 23andMe, I had, like, some family members that were questioning, "But now they're gonna have your DNA." Okay, sure. If my DNA
I
can help solve a murder, of
it's
course
Emily.
Emily's calling you.
Sorry, everyone. I have 5 children, but 2 of them call consistently when we are recording.
Always.
It's one or the other. We'll see if Josh calls tonight because
Yeah.
he very well may. Our last fact is killers who target strangers are statistically harder to catch than those who know their victims. What?
My light's going off. I'm just was looking
Oh,
at it.
okay.
Sorry, I completely zoned out because of the light. Say that again?
Killers who target strangers are statistically harder to catch than those who know their victims.
Yeah, and I think that's where I was kinda going earlier when I said about, like, random violent crime, like, getting shot in a city, like, kind of at night, like, and then you run away, like, it's I don't know, I just feel like that's probably happens more frequently than maybe it did back then, so maybe that's where a lot of the
Mhm.
data is coming from, but I feel like if you know someone, I'd be interested to if that data is available.
Yeah,
Like, someone
they're worth
that you
looking into.
know, what's the percent or the solve percentage on those?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't do that research. Sorry.
You should have preemptively knew that
I
I was
should have.
gonna ask that question, so I'm disappointed in you.
That's all right. So is my mom. Okay. Ready to get into the episode?
Yes.
All right. In 1918, New Orleans was a city shaped by movement of people, of goods, and of culture. As one of the busiest port cities in the United States, it brought together a mix of communities, including a large population of Italian immigrants who had established themselves in neighborhoods across the city, many operating small grocery stores and corner markets. These businesses were often family run and attached directly to the home. It was not unusual for shop owners and their families to live in the same building where they worked, sleeping just steps away from storefronts, storage rooms, and back entrances. At the time, daily life depended heavily on routine. Shops opened early, they closed late, and families followed pretty predictable schedules and patterns.
That makes sense.
But yeah, the physical structure of these homes made them especially vulnerable because usually the back entrances were in alleyways.
Ooh,
And then
not a fan of that.
also, a lot of the doors back then were made out of wood, so they were pretty easy to kinda get in. But I do have some questions about that a little bit later.
Okay.
In the best, the lighting was a lot it was nothing like we have now,
Right.
but in those alleys in particular, just nothing. Law enforcement by modern standards was limited. There was no centralized databases, no forensic DNA testing, and very little coordination between departments. Investigations relied heavily on witness accounts, physical observation and local knowledge. Methods that work best when crimes were straightforward and the suspects were known by the witnesses. But when something didn't fit that pattern, cases became difficult to contain. Some later interpretations suggest that early victims were not chosen randomly, pointing to the concentration of attacks within the Italian American communities.
Okay.
This led to a lot of speculation that this could possibly be tied to organized crime, because whenever there's an Italian involved, it
Yeah.
must be the mob.
Yeah. Clearly, right?
Yeah. And I think that people viewed the mob too as very skilled killers. So I think that they were like, oh, they'd be able to get rid of it a lot easier or take care of it quicker or better. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. But in this case, it's not like the bodies or anything were gotten rid of. They were left to
Oh,
find.
yeah, that's true. That's a dumb thing to say. Guys, I'm not that smart. And here we are.
Here we are, 101 episodes in. You're smart enough to have a podcast, Kelly.
Not really. I mean, guys, if Jen was like, I'm on my deathbed and I'm going to need a month to recover from this illness, so we just don't get podcasts for a month because I can't do the editing or any of the rest of the stuff. So, yeah, until we make enough money that we can. The first thing we're doing is hiring an editor. I don't care if that brings us back down to $0 that you and I get.
Agreed.
The first thing we're doing when we make enough money is hiring an editor.
100%. Because I would have so much more time for other things. Even if like one of the things I'm enjoying about editing now that we're doing video is like adding all the extra like graphics and fun things. But like,
and I come up with like 15 new ones every episode for her to make.
Every episode. But like, if I had someone that went through and edited the episode for like just clipped out all of our freaking tangents and us not being able to pronounce words and wine breaks and all of that, and added like bare minimum, like wine break graphic, things like that are already created, I could then go back and I would watch it to make sure like I accepted all the editing. And then I could add in the additional fun little things.
Right.
But that would just be so much more. I would have so much more time to be more creative in that. So
what we're saying is I'm smart enough to sit here and read a script that I wrote.
Yeah.
Not well. I didn't say read it well.
You did research it though, so you're smart enough to do the research.
Yeah. You know. So the first widely recognized attack occurred on May 23rd, 1918. Joseph and Catherine Maggio were found in their residence after a violent assault left them both dead. Their throats had been cut, and blunt force trauma was also present, suggesting more than one method had been used during the attack.
Oh, I don't remember that. That's interesting.
In the months that followed, additional incidents were reported across New Orleans and nearby areas. If you remember back when we did our Villisca axe murder,
Mm-hmm.
So that was 1912.
Yeah.
I think the murders happened. There was some speculation that this could be the same
murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. On June 27th, 1918, Louis Bezumer and Anna Lowe were discovered with severe head injuries. Both survived long enough to provide statements to the police. What is happening?
Ellie was trying to jump and you could just see her like in the corner.
Guys, I don't know if it's possible, but I think I read better when I'm drunk. Okay. Both of them survived long enough to talk to police and give them their accounts of what happened, but it did not lead to any confirmed suspect. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Plus, you have to think severe head injuries, anything they did tell the police,
Right.
would they even know what they were saying,
Yeah,
depending
like,
on the
you
severity
couldn't
of it?
really trust what they were saying. Now
Like,
where it would be
spoiler
interesting sorry, go
no,
ahead.
I have to say this, spoiler alert, if you have not watched The Walking Dead, then fast forward 2 minutes. When Glenn had his
I
head bashed
knew
in,
you were gonna say something
he
about
said
Glenn.
something like, "I will find you," to
Yeah.
Maggie.
Mhm.
"You're dead." He didn't know what he was saying.
Yeah.
He didn't know what he was saying.
In the next life.
He didn't know what he was saying.
Poor Glenn.
And that's when I stopped watching The Walking Dead, by the way. I haven't watched an episode after that.
Really? Okay.
Too violent. It was too violent. I was like, I don't know that I because I love horror, but I don't like gore. And it was a little too much for me.
Yeah, I generally turn away at the gory stuff, but the story was
Yeah.
good.
All right. Back to our
I was gonna
whatever
say
this
something though,
is.
and I don't remember what it was.
I'm sorry.
Oh, the what would help is if like another attack happened and someone else with severe head trauma was able to make a statement before dying and it matched up with what these people said. Like if you get
Right.
multiple people that are saying the same thing, that's where it's can you give you a little bit more validity to the situation, but I don't think that happened. So,
Well, let's see. I do like that when you lost what you were going to say, your light was off behind you. And then when you remembered it, the second you remembered it, your light popped on. And now I like to think that your light controls your thoughts. Just saying. It's just a little
apparently
game I'm going to play in my head now.
right. My light's out, so oh, okay, I'm allowed to think again.
Yep, you can think now. Okay. On August 5th, 1918, the Cortimiglia family was attacked. Charles and Rosie were injured, while their infant daughter, Mary, was killed.
Oh.
In the aftermath, Rosie accused a neighbor of being responsible, but the claim later fell apart when the accused was released.
I mean, that's fair. Like you were just brutally attacked, you and your husband, and your infant daughter was murdered. Like you're lashing out. Like understandable.
Right. So then on March 10th, 1919, Frank and Jenny Giordano were assaulted in their homes. Jenny died from her injuries, but Frank survived.
So there are actually a lot of survivors in
Mhm.
this. It's kind of wild that none of them could give much of a
Right.
description.
So across all of the cases, there was several details that remained consistent. The incidents took place late at night or early morning hours. Entry was often made through the rear of the residence. The weapon used was frequently found at the scene. And there was little to no evidence of robbery.
Yeah. I remember too, if I'm remembering this correctly, but wasn't there like no real signs of forced entry? Because I remember that being one of the reasons why this case kind of led a little bit paranormal was because they weren't really sure how he was getting into the houses.
So forced entry, no, because what they found is that he would use, or what they believe at least, is that he would use a chisel to remove one of the back panels off the door, and then he
Oh,
could reach around and unlock the door to gain entry into the home. Because
wow.
those wooden doors
Yeah.
were, I still think that would have made a lot of noise that maybe they would have heard, but,
I guess if he was really
we'll get
good,
into it.
if he was really
Yeah,
good at it.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But the surviving victims, they were unable to give a consistent description of the attacker. So everybody they talk to, they're saying different things. All of these people probably have head, head
Yeah.
injuries
Head
too.
trauma.
So,
They were attacked in their
right.
beds. Like,
Grief, somebody's died.
yeah, all of them like lost somebody else in the
Right.
moment too. So
And
I mean,
sometimes my daughter will wake me up in the middle of the night, and I don't know where I am or who that person is, or and
yeah,
there's a demon standing next to the bed. So you can imagine getting woken up by getting clonked in the head.
yeah. How much of
You
what are you
know,
gonna remember?
right? So some reports from the time describe that the figure would move quickly through the home or fleeting immediately after the attacks. Though these accounts varied, they were a little difficult to verify.
Okay.
There were also claims that the attacker demonstrated a knowledge of how to move through the space, like without waking people up, not walking into walls,
Yeah.
because it's going to be dark in these homes too. So he had a sense of the internal workings of the home. At the same time, the lack of consistent victim profile and the absence of a clear motive complicates the idea of having like a single target in
Right.
each home, because they don't know why people are being chosen. Is it random? Is it targeted?
Right. They're not really
You
sure.
know. So whether these incidences, there's a lot of extra syllables in that.
There was.
Whether these whether these incidents were the work of one individual or multiple people operating under a similar circumstance remains unresolved. But the similarities were enough to connect them in the public mind, at least.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely always have that as, like, copycat killers, like, especially back then where it was a lot easier to get away with murder,
Mhm.
though apparently, I guess not. We thought it was a lot easier to get away with murder back then, but not
Right.
according to statistics.
Not a well, this is 1918. Well, my statistic was from 1960, so I don't know what happened in
That's
1918.
true, that's true.
So, you know, as people start putting all of these incidents together, of course, they start recognizing that these aren't isolated events.
Yeah,
As news is spreading about it, it's not like, oh, just this one weird one-off case. People are like, there's something else going on here.
yeah.
Now, and this I thought was so random, and I wish I had answers to this. But here we go. On March 13th, 1919, a message claiming to be from the attacker was published in a New Orleans newspaper. It addressed the public directly and stated that another attack would take place on the night of March 19th.
Can I read the letter? Can I read the letter, please?
Yes, Jen, you may read the letter to the class.
Thank you. Okay. Esteemed mortal, they have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible, even as the ether which surrounds your earth. I am not a human being, but a spirit, and a fell demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleans and your foolish police call the Axeman. He's definitely got a flair for the dramatic.
Definitely.
When I see fit, I shall come again and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue, except perhaps my bloody axe, besmeared with the blood and brains of he whom I have sent below to keep me company. If you wish, you may tell the police to be careful not to rile me. Of course, I'm of reasonable spirit. I take no offense at the way in which they have conducted their investigations in the past. In fact, they have been so utterly stupid as to amuse not only me, but his satanic majesty, Francis Joseph, etc.
Who's Francis Joseph?
But tell them to beware. Let them not try to discover what I am. For it were better that they were never born than for them to incur the wrath of the Axeman. I don't think that there is any need of such a warning, for I feel sure that your police will always dodge me, as they have in the past. They are wise and know how to keep away from all harm. Undoubtedly, you Orleanians think of me as the most horrible murderer, which I am. But I could be much worse if I wanted to. I wished.
This is suddenly starting to sound like a letter my mother would have written me. I could be much worse if I wanted to.
If I wished to, I could pay a visit to your city every night. At will, I could slay thousands of your best citizens, for I am in a close relationship with the angel of death. Now, to be exact, at 12:25 o'clock earthly times, because, we got to specify from Earth and hell.
I wonder what time zone hell is in.
I don't know.
Like, is that called, like, standard Diablo time?
Maybe.
Oh,
SDT.
SDT. No, it works because of SDT, not STD.
Yes, you're right. Okay, so now to be exact, at 12:25 o'clock earthly times, on next Tuesday night, I am going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I am going to make a little proposition to the people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose house a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. If
I thought the devil
everyone
liked the fiddle.
What?
I thought the devil liked the fiddle.
I don't think this is the devil. This is just a demon.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah,
That's fair.
Yeah. If everyone has if everyone has a jazz
hands.
Jazz hands.
If everyone has jazz hands.
Jazz hands. If everyone has a jazz band going, well, then so much better for the people. One thing is certain, and that is some of those persons who do not jazz it on Tuesday night, if there be any, will get the axe. Well, as I am cold and crave the warmth of my native Tartarus, and as it is about time that I have left your homely earth, I will cease my discourse, hoping that thou wilt publish this, that it may go well with thee. I have been, am, and will be the worst spirit that ever existed, either in fact or in the realm of fancy. The Axeman. Scene. Thank you.
So what I love about this letter,
All of
so
it.
many scenarios. Like, a killer out there is like, I know how to throw them off. I'm going to pretend to be a demon. And they'll just stop looking for me because I'm a demon. Or the newspapers being like, ah, shit, we got a demon on our hands. Let's get this to print right away.
Yeah.
As you said, a little dramatic.
Just a little bit.
So when that night arrived, the response was immediate and widespread. Across New Orleans, music filled the streets. Dance halls remained open. Bands performed late in the evening. Families who owned instruments played inside their own homes. And even those without access to live music reportedly used phonographs, old record players, or gathered in places where the sound would carry, so you could hear the music in that space. And no related attacks were reported that night, so I guess it worked.
Obviously.
I guess we appeased Thomas, whatever they said their name was.
No, that was, I think he was talking about the devil in that. I don't think he was saying that was his name.
Oh,
but I don't know.
Okay. I didn't know the devil's name was Thomas, but I did have an Uncle Tom who promised me that if I walked down the aisle when I was a kid as a flower girl in his wedding, that he would give me 5 Hershey bars, and he never delivered.
Oh, how
So
dare he?
I think that we have our answer.
Yeah.
My Uncle Tom is the devil.
Perfect. That
You don't promise a kid 5 Hershey bars and not deliver.
I'm pretty sure the letter, they said the name was Francis, though, so I don't know where the fuck you pulled Tom out of.
Was it not Thomas or Thomas Francis or Francis Thomas, maybe? If it's not Thomas in there at all, then I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I could be wrong. Hold on. Now I got to go back. Francis Joseph.
So apparently it was Francis Joseph was the name of the devil, and I'm just really salty about those 5 candy bars I didn't get when I was 4 years old still.
I think this is some unresolved trauma coming in here, y'all.
Stay tuned for our second podcast. Coming
sometime
in 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting that shit.
Do it.
I am. Think about the guests we'll have on that podcast.
Oh my God, we could have so many guests.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Back to the episode, everyone. So some people at the time believed that the warning was genuine because no attacks happened. You know, after they played the jazz music, nobody got murdered that night. But others question whether the letter came from the same individual responsible for any of the incidents,
right,
and just
anyone,
some crazy person.
Yeah,
right.
Anyone could have written that letter and have been like, I like jazz music. Let's make everybody play jazz music for the whole night.
Yeah. So I would make people play Taylor Swift for the whole night if I
was
could,
about to say, I would choose Taylor Swift if it was me.
I am glad that Jen read the letter because I am faltering to read my own damn writing tonight. So if I would have tried to work my way through that.
And that letter was written in some weird language, and I had not read it in many years. So I think I did a pretty good job.
Yeah. So the impact of this message may have had less to do with its origin and more to do with its timing. By the time it appeared, the city was already dealing with uncertainty. The idea that a single action, playing music, could offer protection gave people something they hadn't had before, and that was a sense of control. So whether written by an attacker or not, the message changed behavior on a citywide scale.
Yeah.
And it transformed fear into participation. And in doing so, it ensured that this case would be remembered for more than just the violence alone.
What gets me about that, though, is that people were saying that, there was no attack, so therefore, we appeased the demon or whatever the fuck it was, and, it's real. But, he said in the letter that he would kill anyone who didn't play jazz music. And you're not telling me in the entirety of the city of New Orleans that there wasn't at least one crotchety old man that said, I don't fucking believe that shit. I'm not listening to jazz music tonight. There were probably
well, you have to remember, there's also a lot less people back in 1919 than there is now.
But
and
not that. There's still a lot of people.
I was just gonna fucking say that back then a lot more people believed in things like demons, and then I remembered what fucking country I live in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did that thought come from?
Yeah. Maybe way back when, but not in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
I did just quick Google it. So the new population of the city of New Orleans in 1918 was roughly 340,000 to 350,000. So you're not telling me
a lot of people.
That is still a lot of people. You're not telling me that out of 350K that not one single crotchety old man was like, fuck this shit, I ain't doing that. or
I thought
like
you were gonna
some
say 300 people.
yeah, or like some like uber religious family was not like, we don't appease demons in this house. Like,
Right.
come on.
Yeah. Okay. There are some theories out here. So, despite multiple investigations, no individual was ever formally identified as the person responsible for the series of attacks. One name that appeared during the investigation was Joseph Doc Mumfree. He had a criminal background and was known to law enforcement. He was later killed in Los Angeles in 1921, reportedly by a woman who believed he was the attacker.
Oh,
Authorities never confirmed a connection between him and the crimes in New Orleans. So that's kind of crazy.
so in a completely different state, halfway across the country, a woman thought he was the Axeman of New Orleans and murdered him for that, despite the fact that there are no connections between him and those crimes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No physical evidence from the scenes definitively linked a single suspect across all incidents. At the time, forensic limitations made it extremely difficult to compare evidence between locations in any meaningful way. Some investigators and later writers suggested the possibility of, like we said before, organized crime involvement,
Yeah.
based largely on the background of several victims and tensions within certain business communities. Other claims proposed that the incidents were acts of revenge tied to personal disputes rather than a broader pattern. It was suggested that the same individual may not have been responsible for every case attributed to the Axeman.
Yeah.
One interpretation is that multiple unrelated attacks were grouped together due to similarities in timing and method. As public awareness grew, separate incidences may have been viewed through the same lens, reinforcing the idea of a single figure behind them. Another possibility is that someone deliberately created a pattern, either by repeating certain behaviors or allowing the media to shape the narrative without interference. So, like copycat killers
Yeah.
would come in and create that pattern.
That same thing. Yeah.
Without a confirmed identity or clear motive, the case leaves behind a framework rather than any form of a conclusion. And once a pattern exists without an answer, it takes on a life of its own.
Yeah. It absolutely does.
So there's not really a lot of paranormal, any real paranormal claims about this, really.
I mean, except the
Um,
fact that it might have been a demon from hell.
I mean, that's what the demon wrote to the newspaper,
Right. I mean, there's
which
less than a 0% chance that it was a demon. More than a 0% chance that it was a demon.
I was like, let me think about that for a minute. Let me think about
Yeah.
less than a zero. I think zero would suffice if you're. So, newspaper coverage from 1918 to 1919 shows a noticeable shift in behavior among residents of New Orleans as the attacks continued. Reports describe families avoiding sleeping altogether,
That
which is
sucks.
scary.
Yeah. I don't like
Um,
that.
choosing instead to stay awake through the night in shared rooms. Some households armed themselves.
I feel like the shared rooms just makes you easier to pick off personally, but
Well, if you're all together, it'd be maybe you can fight as a group. You'd have
maybe.
maybe
Yeah.
be able to overpower one person.
Yeah.
So some households armed themselves and kept watch in shifts in the house, while others temporarily left their homes and went to other cities to stay with relatives.
Yeah.
Local businesses began closing earlier. Streets that were typically active after dark became quieter, with fewer people willing to move through the city at night unless necessary. Police presence increased in certain areas. though patrol methods remained limited compared to modern standards. Despite this, there was no consistent reports of officers being intercepted or confronting a suspect during the active period of the attacks.
Okay.
First-hand accounts collected years later describe heightened awareness of ordinary sounds, footsteps, movement near entryways, or disturbances outside of homes that were interpreted as potential threats at the time. And there's also stories passed through families about neighbors warning one another, sharing information informally, or reacting quickly to anything unusual throughout these accounts. But nothing that was like formally documented in any reports. This is just families telling the stories throughout the generations.
Yeah.
The psychological effect of events appears to have extended beyond the immediate time frame of the crimes, obviously, because you don't know.
Right.
Demons, maybe the demon went on vacation.
He could have. I mean, demons need a vacation too.
We should just tell Catholic priests to tell their the people they're doing exorcisms on to play jazz music
Yeah.
and we don't. Yeah. So when a threat is not clearly identified and resolved, it changes how people interpret their surroundings. So everyday environments can take on a different meaning, especially during nighttime hours when visibility is limited and uncertainty is higher. So obviously, there are no verified historical records connecting the Axeman to documented paranormal activity, except for the letter. Primary sources from 1918 to 1919 focus on the violence itself, the investigation, and the public reaction. Mentions of the supernatural elements do not appear in official reports. In later years, the narrative surrounding the case began to shift some. Some retellings describe the attacker as something more than human, probably because of the letter, drawing
Makes sense.
heavily from the tone, and of course the wording of the message. Stories emerge suggesting a presence tied to the events, something unseen, moving through spaces without clearly being identified, feels paranormal.
Yeah.
And also, some people speculated that it was a person that did it, but they were possessed by a demon
Oh.
to then carry out the brutal murders.
Okay.
As time passes, unresolved cases often move beyond their original framework when there's no resolution. So, in this case, several factors contributed to kind of that shift. So, they got the absence of confirmed identity, the lack of a clear motive, and the unusual nature of the message that was sent to the public. In a place like New Orleans, where folklore, belief systems, and history frequently overlap, those elements can take on that additional paranormal meaning to people that live there.
Yeah.
So, what began as a series of violent incidences gradually transformed into something more symbolic or something more paranormal. Not because evidence of this emerged,
Right.
but because the original questions were just never answered.
Yeah.
So, I thought this was kind of fascinating. I love the aspect of playing the jazz music. Like, that's what I was saying when I was that's the part of the letter that I loved.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so dumb, but it just made me laugh.
The whole letter in itself was just
It was
ridiculous.
it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that brings us to the end of this episode about the Axeman of New Orleans. A case defined not by what happened, but by what could never be fully explained. There were real victims, real homes, real nights where people went to sleep expecting safety and didn't find it. And yet, when it was over, there was no clear ending, no confirmed identity, no definitive answers, and nothing solid enough to close the door on it. What remains is a story built from fragments, reports, recollections, and a single message that changed how an entire city responded to fear. Over time, those pieces didn't fade. They settled and reshaped and became something that sits somewhere between history and interpretation. So, as things quiet down tonight and the world around you starts to slow, consider this. If something like this could happen without ever being fully understood, how many other stories have taken shape in the same way, simply because no one was ever able to finish them?
A lot. That's my answer.
Okay. Thank you for answering.
You're welcome. I
Mhm.
couldn't say I agree. It wouldn't have made sense.
No.
If you loved hanging out with us today, please consider leaving us a rating or a review wherever you listen. Please, thank you.
Please, 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 heart hands, love you. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Not My Ghost Podcast for even more chaos.
And if you want bonus episodes and all the extra spooky perks like monthly bloopers and lives and access to our Discord, you can join our little ghosty community at patreon.com/notmyghost,
Got a creepy encounter? And we know you guys do.
Yeah.
Email them to us at notmyghostpodcast@gmail.com, and you might hear it on a future episode.
Yeah. And if you actually want to see all of this madness,
Jazz hands.
jazz hands, if you want to see my jazz hands, go over to YouTube or Spotify, depending on the day, because sometimes I forget to upload it to Spotify. But go check us out on YouTube, subscribe, drop us a comment. Please interact, like our video. We're really trying to grow on YouTube, and your reactions and comments help
Mhm.
a lot. So please go do that.
Let us know if you like kind of the shift into a true crime space as well,
Yeah.
because we would like to do more true crime stuff
Yeah.
in the future. Yeah. Thank you for joining us on this unsettling journey through the Axeman of New Orleans. As you move through the quiet streets around you, keep this in mind.
If it's not your Axeman,
It's not your problem.
until next time, stay spooky.
And stay skeptical.